The clock strikes 3:14 a.m., exactly 40 miles deep into the pitch-black Iranian airspace over the Zagros Mountains. Inside a $150 million Bavar 373 air defense battery, an operator stares at a phantom blip that flickers before completely vanishing. The Iranian crew is already high-fiving, prematurely celebrating what they think is a radar lock on an American intruder. But folks, here is the lethal error. They are not hunting a careless pilot. They are blindly reaching into a meat grinder. If you think a reverse-engineered radar can genuinely catch the apex predator of the United States Air Force, then you are about to witness a humiliating technological beatdown. Casual observers might assume that fading blip is a system glitch. But those of you with a sharp tactical eye know exactly what that electronic whisper means. It is the signature of two F-22 Raptors running a completely silent intelligence sweep. Stay focused, because the absolute embarrassment they are about to face is a masterpiece. Inside the subterranean bunkers, Iranian commanders are practically popping non-alcoholic champagne, convinced their passive detection network has cracked the American stealth code. At 3:26 a.m., alarms blare across Tabriz Air Base as two legacy F-14 Tomcats roar down the runway, burning thousands of pounds of jet fuel into the night. These pilots fly with chest-thumping arrogance, relying on their ancient AWG-9 radars and prized Fakor 9-0 missiles. They honestly believe they are about to score the ultimate propaganda win, proving their aging Cold War relics can corner a fifth-generation fighter. The flight leaders communicate with absolute swagger, maneuvering their multi-million-dollar jets to cut off the escape route of what they assume is a terrified American scrambling for the border. Most people just see two fighters answering an intercept call. But those of you who understand modern air superiority know the chilling truth. When you send a 1970s airframe to hunt an F-22, you are not initiating a dogfight. You are signing a very expensive suicide pact. While the Iranian pilots flex their outdated muscle, burning through thousands of dollars of aviation fuel per minute, a completely different reality unfolds in the American cockpits. But here is the twist that makes this mission a masterclass in aerial dominance. Long before those Tomcats even lifted their landing gear, the ALR-94 electronic warfare suite on board the Raptor had already meticulously categorized, tracked, and targeted every single frequency emitting from their rusty radar dishes. The American pilots are not fleeing. They are intentionally dragging the desperate Iranians toward the border, playing a cruel game of cat and mouse that cost the United States nothing but patience. On the F-14 radar screens, the F-22s look like chaotic ghosts that refuse to be locked. It is literally like trying to catch smoke with a fishing net. If you ask why the Raptors do not just swat them out of the sky right now, I will tell you an unbelievable military secret. They are under strict orders not to fire first, turning this multi-million-dollar Iranian interception into a spectacularly useless parade. The desperation inside the Iranian Tomcat cockpit reaches a boiling point at exactly 65 nautical miles from the phantom target, pushing a frustrated pilot to make a tremendously expensive and strategically catastrophic decision. Sweating profusely under his oxygen mask and desperate to bring home a trophy, he slams his thumb down on the weapons release button, sending two massive Fakor 9-0 long-range air-to-air missiles screaming off the rails into the freezing night sky. Each one of these heavy munitions represents hundreds of thousands of dollars of Iranian taxpayer money, burning furiously in a spectacular trail of white-hot exhaust as their solid rocket motors accelerate them past Mach 4. But wait, there is one more layer to this triple threat failure that makes the Iranian command look like absolute amateurs. If you were the commander of this flight, knowing the staggering cost of a single missed shot, would you gamble everything on a ghost? Or would you realize you are walking into an invisible wall of electronic superiority? Inside the ultra-advanced cockpit, the Raptor pilot calmly watches the incoming threat vectors flash on his panoramic display. Time remaining to impact is exactly 14 seconds. Here is the massive strategic dilemma facing the United States Air Force in this exact millisecond. The Raptor pilot could easily unleash an AIM-120 AMRAAM, instantly vaporizing the Tomcat and turning an $8 million fighter jet into a cloud of falling aluminum confetti. However, firing a $1 million missile to kill a decaying relic ruins the pristine return on investment and hands the enemy the exact radar signatures they are desperately begging for. Instead of hitting the broadside jammer and illuminating the entire sky, the American pilot opts for a surgical dismantling of the enemy's ego. Time to impact: 12 seconds. Most people would brace for a fiery collision, but those of you with a sharp tactical mind understand that modern warfare is won with mathematics, not just brute force. The Raptor's electronic warfare suite calculates the exact frequency of the incoming F-22 missiles. Time to impact: 11 seconds. Stay tuned, because the physics of destruction in the next 10 seconds is about to completely shatter the Iranian illusion of air superiority. The American fighter jet releases a calibrated beam of electromagnetic interference, surgically injected into the brain of the hostile missiles, paired with a meticulously timed burst of chaff. Down on the ground inside the Tabriz command center, the atmosphere instantly transforms into a premature festival of sheer arrogance as radar screens light up with a blossoming fireball of electronic distortion. The Iranian operators misinterpret the surgical countermeasures as a catastrophic physical impact, jumping out of their cheap tactical chairs and screaming in absolute triumph. They are literally high-fiving each other, convinced their aging technology just vaporized a $143 million American masterpiece. Up in the cockpit of the $70 million Tomcat, the Iranian pilot lets out a victorious roar over the open radio frequency, pumping his fist as he watches a brilliant flash of light illuminate the dark horizon ahead. Ordinary viewers might look at this chaotic celebration and think the Iranians pulled off a miracle. But those of you with a genuine understanding of modern electronic warfare know exactly what that flash in the night sky actually was. The F-22 missile did not hit the Raptor. It was violently manipulated by a phantom signal, aggressively locking onto a worthless cloud of chaff before detonating harmlessly into the empty atmosphere, while the second missile tumbled into the Zagros Mountains like a useless $200,000 lawn dart. The entire Iranian military is celebrating the destruction of absolutely nothing, wasting $500,000 of ordnance to scratch the paint of a localized cloud system. Stay with me, because the moment their cheering abruptly stops is a masterclass in psychological devastation. As the smoke clears, the radar operators leaning over their monitors suddenly freeze in sheer panic. The phantom blip they thought they destroyed is gone, but there is no wreckage and absolutely no thermal signature of a downed aircraft. If you were the base commander, would you start sweating profusely or deliver the humiliating news to your superiors? They have been completely played by a ghost. The moment the F-22 Raptors silently glide back across the border, leaving the Iranian airspace with terabytes of priceless electronic intelligence, the exhausted Tomcat pilots realized their multi-million-dollar interception was a complete fabrication. But folks, here is the lethal error that the Iranian command completely missed while they were busy looking at empty radar screens. They pushed their aging fighters too far out, burning precious aviation fuel and depleting their heavy ordnance, leaving them stranded in the open sky like sitting ducks. Just when the Iranian pilots think the embarrassment of hunting a ghost is the worst thing that could happen to them tonight, the tactical reality of the Middle East violently shifts. Stay focused, because how this ends is a masterclass in making the grizzly blink first. Out of the pitch-black western horizon, screaming over the Persian Gulf at high Mach speeds, a completely new nightmare emerges to trap the hunters. Two F-35C Lightning II stealth fighters, launched from the massive 100,000-ton USS Gerald R. Ford supercarrier, drop out of the stratosphere to deliver a chilling message. Ordinary viewers might just see more jets entering the airspace, but those of you with a deep understanding of naval aviation know exactly what this signifies. These $100 million apex predators are not just flying alone. They are the tip of the spear for an entire carrier strike group that is currently sitting at battle stations, with dozens of strike fighters and billions of dollars of Tomahawk cruise missiles waiting for a single command to unleash hell. Suddenly, the radar warning receivers inside the cramped, sweaty cockpits of the Iranian F-14S start screaming in a high-pitched tone of absolute terror. They are being painted by the AN/APG-81 active electronically scanned array radars of the F-35S, locked onto with terrifying precision from an adversary they cannot even see on their outdated screens. The tables have turned with such violent speed that the Iranian pilots do not even have time to process the sheer scale of their vulnerability. If you were the commander of those Tomcats, realizing your $80 million jet is now firmly in the crosshairs of the most advanced sensor fusion network on the planet, what would your next move be? Would you stay and fight a phantom executioner, or would you start screaming for a vector back to base? But wait, there is one more layer to this overwhelming display of American naval dominance. The United States Navy is not firing a single shot, choosing instead to speak in the cold, unforgiving language of physics and radar locks, proving that true power does not always need to pull the trigger to completely dismantle an enemy's will to fight. The deafening shriek of the radar warning receiver inside the Iranian Tomcat cockpit transforms their previous arrogance into pure panic. The hunters have instantly become the hunted in a terrifying demonstration of American aerial supremacy. These pilots are sitting in heavy, fuel-starved $70 million relics, completely out of long-range missiles, sweating through their flight suits as invisible targeting systems paint bullseyes directly on their foreheads. Ordinary viewers might expect the F-35S to unleash a barrage of missiles and turn the pitch-black night sky into a multi-million-dollar fireworks display. But those of you with a sharp tactical eye know that a psychological slaughter is infinitely more devastating than a physical one. Stay with me, because the final move isn't a kinetic shot across the bow. It is a brutal masterclass in strategic humiliation that cost the United States absolutely $0 in expended ordnance. The American pilots are sitting comfortably in their ultra-advanced sensor-fused cockpits, tracking every desperate twitch of the Iranian jets without ever dropping out of stealth. If you were the Iranian flight leader, staring at a fuel gauge rapidly dropping towards zero and a radar screen that only shows your impending doom, you would realize that you were fighting a mathematical impossibility. The United States Navy effectively puts a virtual gun to the head of the Iranian Air Force and simply smiles in the dark. The message transmitted through the cold, unforgiving language of physics is absolutely brutal. We can evaporate you right now, but we choose not to, and you know it. Stripped of their pride and facing a 0% survival rate against a fifth-generation executioner, the Tomcat pilots violently yank their control sticks, desperately diving toward the deck in a frantic, humiliating retreat back to Tabriz. They are fleeing with their tails between their legs, carrying the terrifying knowledge that their lives were spared only by American pity. The morning sun rises over the Zagros Mountains, revealing an absolute tactical masterpiece orchestrated by the United States without spending a single dollar on kinetic interceptors. While the Iranian pilots land their exhausted Tomcats in complete disgrace, sweating through their suits after burning hundreds of thousands of dollars in a useless sprint, the American assets remain untouched. The F-22 Raptors are already safely touching down, their stealth coatings completely flawless and weapon bays perfectly full. Meanwhile, the F-35C fighters smoothly catch the cables on the flight deck of the USS Gerald R. Ford, proving American naval projection is an impenetrable fortress. Ordinary viewers just see a quiet morning returning to the Middle East. But folks, here is the genius detail that makes this a flawless victory. The United States just mapped every single radar blind spot of the Iranian military, generating billions in actionable intelligence, while the panicked enemy paid the fuel bill for their own funeral. The Iranian media broadcasts a fabricated victory, claiming they chased away the intruders. But here is the lethal error in their propaganda. The Pentagon maintains the terrifying silence of a superpower refusing to explain itself to a nation that failed to scratch the pain of an aircraft they barely comprehended. What the Iranians do not realize is that the F-22S downloaded their encrypted communication protocol, pinpointing every hidden missile battery and underground bunker. The United States military now possesses the exact coordinates to rain down a devastating barrage of Tomahawks the moment a conflict erupts. The chessboard has been permanently flipped, not with explosions, but with a silent radar blip at 3:14 in the morning. Only those with a brilliant tactical mind can answer this. If you were in the Pentagon, Would you use this intelligence to launch a preemptive strike, or keep them sweating in the dark? Let me know the next move of a Grandmaster in the comments below.